Hello YouTube friends, this is the second time I've started this little chat. It was a beautiful Sunday morning, 31st of May, and it's such a beautiful day I thought I'm going to see if I can film this outside in the pavilion. And so I set myself up there with I've got my smart new mic which should make things better for wind disturbance and so on. However, it's Sunday, and since the government lifted the restrictions a little bit on travel, the motorbikes are back out in force. Just down a few hundred yards down on the road there is a Sunday driving route for motorbike groups, and they come all the way from the city, 30 odd miles away, all the way over to Cumbria, another 30 miles, turn around and come back again. And you know, it's just like a recognised thing, you know, recreational thing for these motorbikes to do. And it's very, very noisy on a Sunday here often, and on a bank holiday as well. And so I thought I'd risk being outside to talk to you guys. No chance. I thought I'll just edit out the odd motorbike. Well, there were far too many motorbikes to edit out. So you'll still hear them maybe, but I'm inside now. And it's still a beautiful day. But I'm just going to be in here with a lot of cats. So I've been away for a bit. It's been a tricky few days. You know that image of the plates all spinning on sticks, and you wobble this one and it stays and spins, and this one? Well, we all have different numbers of plates spinning, don't we? And every now and then everything's on an even keel and you think, oh, I'll add another couple. Well, a couple of my plates dropped this week, and I needed to deal with it. And I have a bit. So I've been away. I know I'm not supposed to go away, but you know, in the case of need, you can do that. And so I've been down to visit my dad and my brother and work out some helpful things for them and for me too. So yeah, but I came back a day or so ago because I did that shop update last Sunday, I think it was. And so marvellously, all the new products in the shop sold. Thank you so very much to anyone who bought one. And there's still the ordinary things in the shop that are always there, but the new products in the shop were sold, and so they had to be posted out. You know, you bought something, you expected to receive it, didn't you? So so the past 2 days, I've been getting my head around a new shipping system, which is, it has a printer and prints labels, and is a more efficient system so that I can take them to the sorting office in the town here, and instead of overwhelming the little post office here. Which is going to work for them, it's going to work for me, it's going to work for you, because it means that your things will get sent out faster. You know, sometimes I would take stuff up to the little post office here, and it would be days before they would be able to get round to posting them all out, which, you know, I wasn't happy with. They weren't happy with, but they were overwhelmed really when I took in too many things. So now that won't happen. It was a hard system to get my head around. It's like anything new, isn't it? I had to learn loads of new skills. And I'm thankful to John, my son, who helped me out, first of all, to understand how to get my head around it. Secondly, to girl Rita, who's just been marvellous at a distance in Canada. But also massive thanks to Wendy, who was the support person on the other end of the telephone. And then by email and telephone. And it was almost like she decided she wasn't going to give in until I got this. And it was like, we talked about it, and it was like teaching me to drive over the phone. You remember learning to drive if you did that. You know, you sit behind all these controls and you know that they all will move the car, but you have no idea which one to start with first. And then years later, you get in the car and drive somewhere and think, how did I do that? And you don't even think about it. Well, this new system's just like that. There's a lot of things to do. It's boring, but I can do it now, which surprised me. I didn't think I would be able to manage it, which means then that shipping will be more streamlined. Now, just a word on shipping. People who bought things not this last update, but the one before, I've had a few emails from people who say that they haven't received their parcels, and mostly, in fact, exclusively from people in Canada. Now, I asked Wendy about this, but just as an aside, for the first 2 phone calls, I was calling Wendy Brenda for some reason. Old brain. Anyway, Wendy, she said that for some reason Canada has got a huge backlog and post is taking an awfully long time to arrive. And so I sent my son and his wife, who live in Canada, a little gift for Easter. And I sent it well before Easter, hoping they would receive it for Easter. Now, Easter was, I don't even know when it was. Well, they sent me a text yesterday to say they'd received it yesterday, which is just bonkers, isn't it? So if you are someone in Canada who is waiting for something from Pink HQ at the Last Homely House, by all means get in touch with me about it. But we're going to caution patience for that. And, oh, go on, you can do it. Good girl. Cat's jumping. We're going to, hopefully, everything will resolve itself. This is a strange times we're living in. All sorts of weird things. I took all this stuff down to the main sorting office yesterday. And like I always do, I ask, you know, people wherever I go, how's it going for you? What's, you know, how's the pandemic working for you? And the head post office guy at the sorting office, he said, we have never been busier. He said, it's absolutely crazy. It's the busiest time we've ever known. And that's because everyone's buying stuff online, aren't they? And sending more things. And so, yeah, we'd just be patient with the post. But thank you to everyone who bought anything at the Last Homely House shop. The link is always in the description below. And what's in the shop now is the things that are always there, like the cards and the books, either singly or the little packs of books or whatever. It's always still there. I can't remember what else there is in there. Nothing. There'll be another shop update in June. We're going to do, Girl Rita and I are going to do a shop update every month. And so that there's one batch of shipping a month for me to do, hopefully. And so that's about shipping and the shop and so on. Tonight over on Patreon, will be the live stream. I do a live stream on the last Sunday of the month, and this really is the last Sunday, isn't it? 31st of May. You can't really get any further last than that, because we're into June tomorrow, which is amazing to think that we're into summer tomorrow here in this northern hemisphere, which might mean that you people watching in the southern hemisphere, you're contemplating starting winter. So yeah, greetings to all of you guys in New Zealand, Australia and Brazil and all of those places in South America. So the live stream, it's over there on Patreon, as I say, on the last Sunday of every month. And it's for the $5 and above tiers. And I do want to really, really apologise to anybody who doesn't feel like they want to join me over on Patreon. I really understand that. I mean, I support a few people on Patreon, but, you know, it can get to be like a thing too many, can't it? But I will say that for me, doing that over there, it's actually nicer for me because I'm talking to a smaller group of people. I don't have to appoint moderators. We can be more intimate and more personal. And for me, people put questions in the week beforehand. The questions are all there for me to sort out later. It just makes better sense to me. So I really want to apologise to anybody who that upsets, who doesn't want to join us there. I know that, you know, I've been missing, well, I was here last Sunday, wasn't I? But I do try to update as often as I can. But, you know, plates dropping, all of that. So really what I wanted to talk about today, and I've got a little printout here to remind me, a while ago, maybe, I don't know, 2 years even, because this channel's been going a long time. It'll be 3 years in September. So maybe in the winter, a year or two back, I explained why this channel is called The Last Homely House East of the Sea. So I was explaining, wasn't I, about the name of this channel. Now, before we go any further, for the eagle-eyed among you, you might have noticed that The Last Homely House East of the Sea has now just become The Last Homely House. It's a long name. Unless you know the reference, it's a weird name. And the East of the Sea bit, Rita and I talked about this and we decided that it would be a good idea to just call it The Last Homely House. It's easier for people to remember. It's shorter for people to type in. and it still makes perfect sense to me. And so after a lot of backwards and forwards with the YouTube admin people, finding out whether the name was available, finding out what, you know, all of that, whether I could have it and how to acquire that, we've dropped the East of the Sea part. It's still there in the quote that I'm going to tell you about now, but we are now just the last homely house. Now, a lot of people, and especially people who associate the word homely with ugly or plain, and I know that a few people have said, why is it not called the last homey house? Thinking that it's just about, you know, the homeliness of the house. And because plain and, you know, ugly, a homey girl is not one who's endowed with beautiful looks, is she? I now know from reading a lot of your comments. But it bypasses all of that because it's a direct quote from Tolkien. It's in The Hobbit, in fact. And I'm a big fan of, which I explain, you know, I'm going to repeat some of the things that are in that first video. Maybe I'll leave a wee link up here to that first video where I think I'm winding some of my spinning into a ball, and it's winter time, and I'm telling you why it's called that. However, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to do that again for people who are interested in knowing how I chose the name for my channel and why it's called Homely and not Homey. So Tolkien, oh, big motorbike. He wrote, as you know, The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, The Silmarillion, all of those fantasy books about a fantastic manufactured world, Middle-earth, with races of elves and goblins and dwarves and men and hobbits and all manner, and trees, all manner of different races who all have adventures throughout the course of these books. First The Hobbit, which is the little children's story, and then the 3 epic books of the Lord of the Rings. And of course they've all been made into movies now, Peter Jackson, and New Zealand. New Zealand's the star of the show, I think, in those films. And so the reason why this house is called the Last Homely House, it's there on my PO box, and it's there on my Instagram, the stuff that happens on YouTube here, the stuff that happens over on Facebook, anywhere like that, that's what it's called. It's for this reason, and I've printed out the quote, and I'm going to read you the quote from what Tolkien says about the Last Homely House. I printed it out for you, so I'm going to read it now, okay. Frodo was now safe in the last homely house east of the sea. That house was, as Bilbo had long ago reported, a perfect house, whether you liked food or sleep or storytelling or singing or just sitting and thinking best, or a pleasant mixture of them all. Merely to be there was a cure for weariness, fear and sadness. Now that's the quote. When I first read that, well, probably when I reread it, because I read The Hobbit when I was a kid, but when I got back into the whole genre, when the films were made, and I got really involved in all of that movie making and all of that, it felt to me like the Last Homely House, which is what Tolkien is describing Rivendell, where the elves live. And as I say in that first video, it's a little bit twee, all this idea about elves and things. But if you take that idea about what that place is, I mean, in the books, Bilbo just wanted to go to Rivendell and spend the rest of his life there because it was the sort of place where, you know, he just felt like he could be, whether you like food or sleep or storytelling or singing or just sitting and thinking best or a pleasant mixture of them all. Merely to be there was a cure for weariness, fear and sadness. Now, this house has undergone a huge transformation in the last few years while I've been living here on my own. Massive changes have happened here, not just in the colours of the walls and the way the garden is, and you know, some people may have the little book that's called what's it called? It's just called The Last Homely House, that one. Yeah, one of my little books is about this place and about the transformation that happened to turn it from just a house I lived in to a house I loved living in. And so Tolkien calls it homely, because in UK, in English, that word homely has got lovely warm connotations. It hasn't anything to do with plainness. And so if you hear that and you're used to homey being the word rather than homely, then we'll take it right back to Tolkien and how he described it. Now, there is a little bit in the Hobbit film where the company of dwarves and Bilbo and Gandalf they come round the corner in the mountains where they're walking, and they come round, and there is Rivendell laid out in front of them. And I'm going to see, I can't put it in here because there may be some copyright infringements, but I might link to it. Yeah, I might put a link in the description below so that if anybody wants to see that little clip from the movie, they can. So that's a long explanation, but that's why it's called that. And yeah, so it's now just called The Last Homely House. Okay, I have a piece of paper here in case I forgot to say anything. And so there's one more, there's only two things written on it. One says live stream and one says this. Not to be obsessed by numbers or anything, but I kind of am a little bit. This channel then, that I started in September, 3 years ago in September, it'll be 3 in September, we'll have a party. It's creeping up towards 20,000 subscribers, which is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Now, I had some plans for a 20k giveaway, and because this last week has derailed me a little bit, I haven't made a start on the 20k giveaway, but there's going to be one. It might end up being the 21k giveaway by the time I actually manage to do it, but I am going to make something that we are then going to give away. I'm not going to tell you about it because I'm a devil for saying I'm going to do something and then forgetting to do it. Or not forgetting, but just I have too many things on my plate sometime. You know, when, oh look, another plate's just fallen. Did you hear it? Another plate's just gone. So I'll just wobble these plates and get them going again. I'll tell you about another new piece of kit I've got. I've got these fantastic microphones. I've got a new tripod. It's only tiny, it's about that big, but it's more stable than the previous one, which means then that if Norma walks past it, she's not going to knock it over. So I'm slowly getting all the bits of kit that I need together. Okay then, guys, so I'm going to talk about the 20k giveaway another time. The shop update won't be for a little while, but if you really want to hear about the shop update when that happens, then at the bottom of the homepage on the website is a chance to join a mailing list that Rita, she does all of that. And there is an invitation to join a mailing list, and you get one email a month, that's all. And that's to just before the product goes live, people will get an email about that. Sometimes people are a bit disappointed. I know the soap sold out very, very quickly. And because Kerry can't get some of the ingredients for the Eileen soap, we don't think there'll be another one of those. So that might be a very limited edition there. It's not the last we've seen of Kerry, though. That's all I'm going to say about that. And so, yeah, if you want to know about next month's shop update, which I'm working on now, I didn't make it, but I'm putting it all together now from another maker. Then join the mailing list and you'll get fired off an email before the product goes live. Rita's in charge of that. So that's a quick catch up for you. It's a shame it wasn't outside. It's beautiful out there. I got back and my polytunnel is bursting with all the plants that have grown. And if you remember me planting those little seeds in the paper pots, tiny little seeds, well, they're all this big now. And so I spent some of last night, because it's been too hot to be outside in the daytime. So I spent some of last evening planting those in the cool of the evening. And then I was up early this morning planting some more and watering those in well. And so the courgettes are in and the beans and the peas. and the beetroot, and some of those things I've been managing to get into the garden, which is excellent. So I can't really go without saying, of course I watch what's going on in the world news, and I keep politics and my opinions about stuff off this channel almost completely. I'm usually pretty successful at that. I mean, there's the odd comment slips through, but it's my business and you have your own opinions about things. However, I'd just like to send a massive amount of love to everyone who's affected by what's going on in America at the minute, and how sad I am by the events that are going on there. It's like a big melting pot, isn't it, that's boiling over. And so my thoughts are with you, and my heart goes out to you all. And, you know, we're all just going to do the best we can. So sending lots of love to anybody who's affected by any of that, like I have been very deeply. And so for you guys too. I'll catch up with you soon. Live tonight at 8 o'clock Greenwich, no, not Greenwich Mean Time. God, we got into a muddle about that, Girl Rita and I. It's British summertime here now. Live stream tonight at 8 o'clock British summertime. God knows what time that is for the rest of you around the world. And of course, there's always catch up. You can get it, you can watch it anytime. And much love to you all for these really strange, curious, unprecedented times. The last Homely House is here.